Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a updated complete guide for Zeri, our first updated complete guide of patch 6.3c. And of course we've updated it for the latest patch. So before we really get into it, of course as usual, don't forget to check out Zeri's basic guide that I'll put up in the cards above right now for her skills, leveling order tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. But without further ado, let's jump straight into talking about the items, the runes, and the spells. So, with Zeri, the best build currently is just to rush crit. Now, there is a build that involves going for Runan's second, but honestly, the delay that Runan's gives you is, for Zeri, just not that great, because Zeri is not in that amazing of a spot after her, ever since her rework, right? So, she really needs to rush the crit here, instead of going for the Runan's second. So you will see that in the top couple of players, if we don't look at the influencers, you see that basically everybody goes for this same build, and it's what I think is the best build as well. So let's kind of take a look at what we have here. So there isn't a lot of attack speed in the build. So you want to start off with attack speed boots just for extra 35% attack speed and a little bit of AD. And you also don't go for lethal tempo, so going for attack speed boots here is critical. And first item, as usual, you want to go for Bloodthirst, so just with the early game AD, a little bit of attack speed as well, and of course you get that amazing lifeline passive, giving you the shield, as well as, of course, also giving you that physical vamp from the Bloodthirster. So after that, you actually want to go for Essence Reaver, because with Zeri, you cast a lot of spells, right? You dash, of course you cast your Q a lot, you cast your W, especially your Q is a very spammable spell, right? So that's going to give you stacks of Essence Reaver, which you can, of course, proc on your auto attacks, and then they can crit as well, so just a lot of additional damage. And then you have the two standard crit items of IE as well as Mole Reminder, of course extra crit damage, grievous wounds, as well as armor penetration. But you will see that most people actually like to go for Mole Reminder before they go for IE. Now, personally, I like to go for IE first because I think that huge boost of damage is a lot more important. Of course, if you're playing as a very tanky team, though, going for earlier Mole Reminder does make sense. And last item is very flexible. So we'll see that a lot of people actually like going for the Soul Transfer last item. And I can see why, right? Because basically with Soul Transfer, it does put you over the crit limit to like 125% crit. But with the Soul Transfer, what you actually get is you get the extra clones, and at this point, of course, the clones have maximum skill, right? Because they gain 30% of your crit rate as attack speed. Of course, at this point, you're already at 100% crit. I'm not sure if 125% crit actually counts for more for the clone damage. I'm not too sure about that. It might, but anyways, the clones will do a lot of extra damage and a lot of DPS, basically kind of replacing Runans. Of course, you can also go for Runans as a very solid last item option, just to attack three people simultaneously and not get blocked by the first target. But if you do want something more defensive, of course you have GA and Maw as your defensive options, depending on if the enemy team is heavy on AD or AP. And for the runes, you actually want to go for Conqueror, because as I said, or I haven't really said it yet, but with Zeri attack speed, you can get enough of it through your items already, like these two especially. And you can't exceed, there's a cap on Zeri's attack speed, so you can't exceed it anyway. It's going to get converted into AD. So seeing as Lethal Tempo is not useful for Zeri after you get like 1 to 2 items, the best way to go about it is to just go for Conqueror. Now, of course, Lethal Tempo will be better in lane, especially if you skirmish in lane, but the benefit of Lethal Tempo for the first like 3-4 minutes of the game is just not worth taking as a rune, whereas Conqueror is going to help you throughout the entire game, giving you stacking AD as well as also giving you the Omnivamp when you fully stack it up. And then the rest is going to be standard ADC runes. And for the spells, you want to go for Flash, and Ghost is going to be Zeri's best spell to kite in and around fights. But if you need Cleanse, you do want to go for Cleanse as well. But with all that said, now we can move on to taking a look at our gameplay. Okay, so now let's take a look at the gameplay. Of course, as usual, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, you guys know I'll be sure to address them, or drop a heart on it. Right, so let's get straight into it. So first things first is, for the first like 2 minutes or so of the game, you guys are going to be seeing the Lux POV, because I fat fingered and tapped the wrong champ. Thankfully, I did realize it after a while, because sometimes what I do like to do is I like to just start the recording and then I'll just go about and do my other business, right? I'm not going to sit there and watch the entire recording, unless of course I'm recording for a champion like Ezreal, Jinx, you know, etc. Because these champions have like those cross-map ults, Ashe, etc. They have those cross-map ults that have to actually scroll the replay tool to show you guys where the ult hits. But champions like, for example, Vayne or Zeri doesn't have any kind of cross-map ability, so sometimes I just like to leave it there. I do like to pan to other champions on deaths, but sometimes, of course, if I'm really busy with other work, like in this, like when I was recording this gameplay, I will just kind of leave it there, and then I will just go about my other business while the recording's playing. Thankfully now though, I have panned back to myself after realizing my error, and we're back to business. So here, honestly, I wanted to cleanse, and I thought that I did, but after I supposedly pressed cleanse, I was wondering why I couldn't walk away, and then I realized that I didn't actually, like, you know, press cleanse, right? So I guess it's just a case of like the input not registering, or my fingers being a bit sweaty, so it didn't register, and I end up just, you know, dying just like that, which is, yeah, not a good start to the game. But let's talk a little bit about Zeri, right? Let's talk a bit about Zeri. Let's talk a bit about her builds and things like that, right? So ever since Zeri got reworked, she really isn't very good, right? Like, she is a fun champion to play. She is a decent carry, and I personally love playing Zeri. Ever since Zeri came to the game, I've always loved playing Zeri. However, I will admit that after they removed her like healing and not healing, her shielding passive, where she can steal shields and gain movement speed from shields, she really has been a lot worse. Now, I thought that on paper, all of her other abilities being buffed would make up for that, but I didn't really realize how big of a deal that extra movement speed and extra steal shielding was, right? Like, because really, when you think about it, there's a lot of shielding in the game. Like, just take a look at this game here, right? You have shields from Corki's barrier. You have shield from Nautilus W. You have a as we bait Corki into the tower range and Lux gets the kill. We have a shield from Yasuo passive, so you really can steal shields from so many people. And the extra movement speed that you get from stealing shields is also something that I kind of took for granted when it was there. And now that I don't have it anymore, I kind of realize how big of a deal that really was. So it kind of sucks to not have the shield stealing and extra movement speed increase. Although now you do extra damage in terms of your Q, in terms of your crit scaling on your E, and in terms of your ult in general. And of course, the ult is another thing, right? Like, the fact you have to maintain the stacks of your ult instead of it lasting like a couple of seconds, like how Vayne ult works, is actually also means that you have to really pick when you want to ult in. You can't just randomly ult and then expect the fight to continue, right? Because enemies can just disengage and then like let your ult expire, similar to running away from a Swain ult, for example. So you really need to pick your moments, and you really need to find the opportunity to get off a good ult where the fight is fully, you know, ensuing already, and make sure you don't waste your ult, which is very, very common to do on Zeri. Here there is a huge fight. Speaking of which, I popped the ulti. I'm trying to focus the Corki here. Corki is really low. I'm trying to get him. Nautilus roots me, so unfortunately I'm going to have to flash to finish the kill onto the Corki. And Lux walks in here, gets some CC in. And here Tryndamere is coming in, so I don't think I can outrun Tryndamere, especially because I believe he has ult. In the replay too, you can see the ult is actually only now just coming up, so I think he has ult, so I'm like, there's no way we can actually kill him. So I decided the best thing I can do is to chase for the Nautilus and make sure that we get that extra kill, since we're gonna die anyway. I don't think there is really any way that we escape Tryndamere there, unless he does what he did, which is he focuses on Lux, and then while Lux is distracting him, we actually get out. So overall, you could say it could either be like a kill for a kill or a death for a death. But speaking of which, Tryndamere, I'm not sure what he's doing here. He has ult, doesn't actually pop it at all, and just gets one shot while trying to steal, or rather after stealing the wolves, which is some very strange behavior by the Tryndamere. I mean, he knows that we are, myself and Lux are going to respawn off of our deaths and walk back to the lane, right? And then Kha'Zix just runs into him, and he ends up in a 3v1, which even with ult, I think he would have trouble escaping. Like, even if he ulted and tried to run, I think we just run him down and he dies whatever happens, right? So here, another fight goes in. Nautilus just starting fights non-stop. We have been getting hit by 2-man. Nautilus ultis this entire time. Get rooted again. Corki has a package ready for collection, but doesn't actually get it. Kha'Zix now coming in. Completely a bait here, by the way. not this one. He's gonna be baiting us a little bit later on, and I definitely remember that in the match. But this one he actually did well by coming in for the follow up, and Corki doesn't actually get his package, which is pretty huge. Now the reason why I thought this fight would be very good is because we have Bloodthirster, whereas Corki only has random item components, right? He has attack speed boots, he's building towards a Mana Moon, which he has not even completed yet, whereas I already have my first full item, and Mana Moon kind of is a trash first item before you actually stack it up, right? So I know that we do way more damage than him, and we are stronger than him, which is why we picked that fight. And the next thing I want to point out is how I rushed Bloodthirster this game instead of boots. So why did I rush Bloodthirster this game? Well, it's because I wanted to actually go for defensive boots. And the reason why I wanted to go for defensive boots is the enemy team is full AD. Now here they're trying to dive me, I'm trying to skirt around the dive. Nautilus finally starts tanking the tower. I'm just trying to run away. Now Corki is now diving onto me. I'm going to pick up the fruit here. Corki now taking a ton of damage. Corki goes down. Nautilus in trouble as well. I'm a little bit scared to chase him because I'm low enough that he's going to be able to actually kill me if he combos me. So I don't really want to mess around with him. Lux though on the chase. I hit Nautilus with the W there, but unfortunately Nautilus had already restored a good amount of health. Tryndamere now comes in for the backup, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to help the Lux, not against the Tryndamere who has ulti, so there's not much we can really do here. We are just going to take a reset. So as I was mentioning just now, the entire enemy team is AD, right? Urgot AD, we have Yasuo and Tryndamere AD as well. Corki also an AD champion. Nautilus, not AD, but is building tank, so he's not going to be a major damage problem, as a dragon fight is now happening. So here we ult onto the Tryndamere, and the fight is full going on, right? So here I'm getting my stacks on Tryndamere, getting my stacks on Yasuo. Unfortunately, I attack into the wind wall once, and my ulti is rapidly going to be falling off if I don't hit anybody soon, and it does, right? So that's kind of the problem. Now we don't have ulti anymore for Yasuo. Yasuo trying his best to survive under the tower. We proc his Bloodthirster shield, and he's now stuck under tower, about to get dove by 4 people. Nice wind wall by him, at least for a moment, and then I just reposition so I'm not getting blocked by the wind wall, and he gets dived 1v4. And I think he should have ran away when he had the chance instead of just trying to run to the tower, but he didn't, and as a result he does end up, taking a death. So next up, as Lux gets a little bit caught here, gets full combo. I'm focusing the Corki instead of the Nautilus, and you can see the Corki once again doesn't pick up his package. I don't have ult, so I can really only auto attack, and I realize with the barrier and with Corki going to take the package, I don't think I'm going to win this fight. And here you can see, this is the part where Kha'Zix stands behind, looks like he wants to jump in, looks like he wants to do something. Tryndamere is not coming in, I'm hopping over the wall to safety. Kha'Zix is just walking around doing nothing. Morgana gets completely baited and goes in, and ends up dying eventually, I believe. Kha'Zix, by the way, still hiding there, I'm not sure what he's doing. Finally decides to go in on the Corki, like 10 years after the fight has basically already ended. And yeah, so I took the bait and I nearly died. Morgana took the bait, she did actually die, and that was a huge bait from Kha'Zix, right? Kha'Zix almost working for the enemy team there. He is 7-0-1 though, but honestly that was just ridiculous. Now here is nothing that's ridiculous. Yasuo knocks me up, ults me, I actually kite away. Now here I think I actually should have committed ult, considering I'm like basically all in on him at this point. I'm now stuck on 1 HP. Yasuo comes in with the Q flash, I believe, or maybe it was even a Q auto, but basically I die a pretty embarrassing death here. Didn't use my flash or my ulti, and didn't think I actually needed to die to Yasuo there. Now the funny thing is, I'm 5-3-5, and Yasuo has the same or more gold than me, being 2-4-1. I'm not quite sure how that came to be, but he is very, very fed right now. So we talked a lot about what's been happening in the actual gameplay. We haven't talked too much about the build, right? So I think the build, this is pretty much the best build for Zeri for a very, very long time already. Really just because just going for crit on Zeri obviously is always the way to go, right? On hit, he became a lot weaker just because they nerfed on hit items a lot, and also Zeri now scales with crit, so it really just makes sense how crit is better. Now the only main argument when it comes to this build is whether or not you want to go for the Runans as a second item, right? So the other way you can build crit Zeri is to go for like Bloodthirster into Runans, and then you can go into like IE or Moral Reminder, and then you have Soul Transfer later on, or the other one that you didn't build, IE/Moral Reminder, as your last three items. So The issue with that build is that while it is good, it is really only good when you reach late game, right? The problem with that build is it takes too long to ramp up. When you're on 2 items, you're not that great. When you're on 3 items, 4 items, you really need like up to like 4 items to really come online, and that's just kind of unacceptable, right? As in, you still will do damage and stuff, but it's just not as good as if you went for this build where on 2 items you have the spike on Essence Reaver, on 3 items you have the spike on like IE, you know, things like that, right? So I really think that this build, you just curve out way better. Now the other build still works fine. I still might play the other build from time to time. You know, if I do, I might make a video on it. But I think that for now, this is definitely Zeri's best build. Of course, you also have an on-hit build for Zeri, which is kind of okay. Like, it is good in certain circumstances, but in most circumstances, this crit build is going to be the best way to go. Which is why you normally go for this build in most instances. So here, we have both Baron and Dragon going to be spawning. There's a huge fight starting to break out at Baron. At Dragon. I'm kind of just waiting for abilities to kind of be used before I really commit with my ulti. I'm also trying to stack up my Conqueror at the same time. You can see I'm just autoing the closest target. I'm full stack Conqueror now. I'm out onto the Nautilus. I'm now just blasting people with my ulti. I'm on the double here. Trying to chase Corki. Corki flashes away. Now, unfortunately, I can't quite reach him. He still has barrier as well. Trying to just catch him out. Unfortunately, we can't. But basically, everybody else pretty much dies. I'm still full HP. So this is absolutely fine. We get the Dragon. Not too big of a problem overall. And in this game, you guys notice that I actually went for Cleanse instead of Ghost. And that's because, you know, Ghost is an amazing spell for Zeri, but there's just too much CC, right? There's Nautilus who has 3 CC spells, and yet there's also like Yasuo who has that knockup as well as the ulti. So I decided, you know what, I really need Cleanse this game. I can't afford to go for Ghost, which is a tad unfortunate because Ghost is so good on Zeri. I think like there's some champions that just feel so horrible without Ghost, like Vayne, Zeri, Varus. Like when you have to go for like something like Cleanse, that just really sucks. So here, there's very weird things happening here. Baron gets stolen by the enemy team, and how that happened is basically me and Volibear decide to go take top tower, but my team decides that to go Baron. The other 2 people decide to go Baron, so it ends up becoming a 2-man Baron as Tryndamere goes in on me. I know he doesn't have ult yet because he just used it in the previous fight, so I just pop my ult and just one-shot him, because even without ult, when he goes on me, of course, he's gonna just kill me, so I have to quickly kill him before he can kill me. So I quickly just burst him down, and we're able to kill him before he really does anything to us. He almost got out there, by the way. He's almost like a few seconds away from coming up, and he nearly got it, right? So how this wonky situation happened is myself and Volley decide to go for top tower into reset, but my team decides to go like Morgana, and I think it was Kha'Zix decides to go Baron, right? So we have a very split call where after I take the tower, I recall, and then I realize that they're doing Barons. I'm walking over to the Baron to help them. By the time I get there, Baron's taken already, and there is a pretty bad fight there, I would say. But all in all, my team still has a 5k gold lead. The Baron is so far not being used very effectively by the enemy team since we're all alive and we're able to defend our lanes. First Baron, of course, expires really quickly, so it's not a very major problem. The problem here, though, is Corki, Nautilus, and Urgot are very far overextended. Corki dies, leaving the 2 tanky chaps to deal with the entire rest of the team. Now, you can see I'm not doing very much damage to Urgot, but Urgot is not really going to escape very easily, especially considering his other teammates are not nearby. Nautilus, of course, ditches him, and then you can see the other 2 teammates in the other 2 lanes, so really he has nowhere to go, so it's just a slow and painful death for Mr. Urgot. There's nothing he can really do about the situation. So now we are going to get a reset. So we get the IE, putting us at 3 full items at this point. And of course, really kind of coming online on the 3 item spike, right? Of course, we have yet to get our boots upgrade. Still have those basic defensive boots, ninja tabbies, or plated steel caps as they are called now. Really effective against the enemy team. And honestly, in this game, there is a very strong argument that last item, you should go for something like Randuin's Omen. Like, just look at the 4 crit champions on the enemy team, right? Going for Randuin's Omen, even as a carry champion, I think is just insane value in this particular game, right? Like, if you like, I don't know how Volibear doesn't have that item yet. Like, I think he's kind of trolling by not building it, but yeah. So here, Volibear just standing in front, stuns the Tryndamere. Tryndamere gets one shot, doesn't even have ult. Yeah. So honestly, my team is so far ahead. I'm so far ahead at this point. We're doing a lot of damage to the enemies, and we're basically pretty easily able to take them down if they're uncoordinated. Your volley bear goes in with another stun. He's going all the way in. Volley bear, yeah, just disables the tower. Lux ult finishes some kills. I pop my ult. No more minions, so we can't really do anything to the tower. He just walks back out. And here I'm just blasting the tower. Nautilus getting caught. I make sure to hit him with a W in case he dies, so I get an assist. He doesn't actually die. Hooks a minion. Gets bound by Morgana. He's kind of stuck there. We have everybody just trying to kill him here. But he is going to be able to escape. Let's not bite off more than we can chew. We've already taken that in-hit. Dragon and Baron are both alive now. This Kha'Zix is just AFK farming. While we're doing all of this, he's farming the enemy jungle, and now he is taking the dragon, which is... I mean, taking the dragon is fine, I guess, but... I don't know, I would think that just maybe getting towers and sieging with the team is also a good choice, but of course he's an assassin, so there's not a lot he can really contribute to that. Now here Baron is up, so it's a very good idea for us to just force the Baron since we are like at this point 10k gold ahead of the enemy team. And the issue is that our jungler is on the wrong side of the map, so I'm trying to ping him for assistance. I'm expecting him to take the gate down, which he is. So in the meantime, we're just slowly doing the Baron. The enemy team is slowly making their way toward the pit to kind of contest. Of course now Kha'Zix is here. I'm changing my focus to the enemy champions instead of the Baron, because I'm waiting for Kha'Zix to come over and secure it, which is exactly what he does. And here we're just blasting the two tanky champions here. I'm just jumping over the wall, trying to see if we can catch anybody else out. Corki dies before I even get there. Only Tryndamere and Yasuo are left alive. I quickly get the reset just as Tryndamere hops over the wall there. So thankfully we're not caught out by him. We're actually going to pick up a stasis this game, because in the event that Tryndamere has ult and is running us down, the only thing that can really save us is probably going to be the stasis. So I think that's the most logical pickup that we could get here, is that stasis. And we got the two key components of the Lore Reminder as well. Of course, the Last Whisper Armor Pen component, as well as the anti-heal component on the Grievous Wounds. So here we're looking to get this tower, but of course the enemy team is not going to give it to us very easily. Something to note is that Morgana and Kha'Zix are not with us here, so if we pick a fight, it's likely going to be 3v5, which is not very ideal, so I'm not trying to pick a fight. You can see I'm trying to back off. Volley Bear though has other ideas. He kind of wants to go in. He is kind of going in. I realize it's going to be an all-out fight, so I pop the ulti. I'm just trying to blast Tryndamere with it. Morgana comes in and joins the fight with the Black Shield. Nautilus trying to run away. Tryndamere goes down. Nautilus kind of gets away with the Baron minions. Now we are kind of attempt to siege the tower. We do get it. Corki once again gets zoned off from his package by me. I'm going to have to pop the stasis because I get hooked under tower, which is not where I want to be, tanking the tower. Bloodthirster shield pops. I'm trying to end the game, but I'm getting blocked by the minions. Corki now just dives in. Fortunately for me, I do more damage than him, and I'm able to actually 1v1 him on the side, and the minions, I believe, end the game. So, there we have it. I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.